The Boy of the Painted Cave, Chapters 8 and 9. Chapter 8. The old man walked back and forth, his feet shuffling across the cave floor. He stopped at the entrance and looked out across the valley. He was still breathing heavily, but the storm within him was over. I am sorry, he said. It is a thing that must be handed down. My father was a cave painter. Now I am one. That is the way it has always been. It cannot start from nothing. He stopped his pacing and looked down at Tao. You must learn to live with things you cannot change. Tao sighed deeply, biting his lip, trying to forget. A short while later, they sat cross-legged on the cave floor, eating freshwater mussels that Tao had scooped from the creek. With sharp flint knives, they pried open the blue-black shells and picked out the soft flesh within. The smell of birch tea filled the little cave as the leather sack brewed over the open fire. They ate in silence for a while. Finally, Tao spoke. Then it can never be? The old man nodded impatiently. I tell you again, unless you were born of a leader or chosen by the elders, it would not be accepted. He opened another shell and ate the contents, washing it down with a sip of birch tea. For 1,000 summers it has been in the minds of people and cannot be changed. And I must not do this thing I love. I must not make images. Graybeard looked out through the cave entrance, gazing off in the distance. He tugged at his beard for a moment, deep in thought. Yes, do it if you wish, but do not let the others know. They would not understand, and always rub out your images when you are finished. The old man glanced at the cave wall where he had blotted out the pictures. You have made a good beginning, he said, but you have much to learn about form and shape. You must study the animals closely. See how they look when they run or lie down. Notice the color of their fur in the bright sun or under the shadows of a tree. Graybeard smiled. He had completely forgotten his outburst, and his eyes shone when he spoke. Go up on the high plains and watch Saxon, the sacred bull. See how the heavy muscles rippled beneath his shoulders. Watch how he moves his head and remember the angry fire in his eyes. Then, put it all into your image. Please stop here and answer question 1. It is something like magic, said Tao, his voice rising with excitement. The old man picked up his deerskin bag, shaking it, rattling the contents within. Here is the real magic, he said. With these graven stones, I can speak to the spirits of the animals and bring good hunting. He took out 7 flat stones, each larger than his open hand, each engraved with the figure of a different animal. He picked out one and held it up for Tao to see. On it was the engraving of a mammoth. Tao gasped. It's the mountains that walk. Yes, said Graybeard. 3 summers passed, they came through the valley, and I drew this sketch. They have not been here since. That is true, said the old man, but now, from this sketch, I can draw others on the walls of the secret cavern. I can draw line for line, making the shape exactly as it was when I first saw it. In this way, I can speak to the spirits of the great beasts and call them back to the valley. Please stop here and answer question 2. With the point of his flint knife, Graybeard began copying the picture in the dirt floor of the cave. Here, he said. First make the large outline of the whole animal. Next find the high point of the shoulder. Then slope the back all the way down to the tail. Graybeard swung his hand over the drawing, his eyes shrinking again as he drew the legs, the feet, and the trunk, using short strokes to show the hair and fur. Tao leaned forward, watching closely. Slowly, the rough picture of a mammoth began to take shape as the old man sketched in the curved tusks and the small beady eye. You must do this over and over, said Graybeard. That is the way you learn. But I must warn you again. Rub out your image as soon as you are finished. Graybeard stood up and erased the drawing with the toe of his deerskin sandal. Now I must go to the camp of your people, he said. Tonight there will be the celebration and the ritual of the hunt. Since he was not a chosen one, Tao could not go, and he was sorry to see Graybeard leave. There was so much more he wanted to know. He got up, not looking directly at the old man. I will go with you part of the way, he said. They climbed down the ledge, with the sun shining in their eyes, and started out along the foot of the cliffs. Tao hopped along, now using his spear as a crutch, with Ram trotting at his heels. You will have to go more slowly if I am to keep up, said Greybeard, stifling a cough. Tao slowed his pace to that of the old man's. If I went to the mountain people, he said, maybe they would accept me as a cave painter. The old man stopped. He shook his head. You do not understand, he said. The mountain people, the lake people, the valley people, they are all the same. Their life is filled with magic, taboos, and evil spirits. If you cross the river into their land, you will not be welcome. Please stop here and answer question 3. Yet you travel from clan to clan without harm, said Tao. I have told you, I was born into the spirit world through my father. Now I can go where I please and do magic. By striking stones together, I can make fire. By rubbing a dab of mud on the skin hut, I can make a barren woman bring forth a child. By drawing the outline of a beast on a cave wall, I can bring good hunting. They walked on in silence again with Tao deep in thought. Then he said, even though you can do all these things, are you saying it is not true? It is not really magic? Greybeard shrugged and tugged at his beard. I do not know, he said. Perhaps it is nothing more than words. Perhaps it is nothing more than shadows. Yet I am sure it brings hope to the people and boldness to the hunters. Many times the things I foretell do not happen. The people never question it. If the things I foretell come to pass, they are happy. One thing I know, if they wish to call it magic, then let it be so. If I try to tell them otherwise, they will be angry. Here, said Greybeard, stopping once again. I will show you something they call magic. He reached into his deerskin pouch and took out a flat, round object. He held it in the palm of his hand, and it glistened in the sunlight like silver fire. This is a shining stone, he said. It was dug out of the earth and polished in the sand by my father many summers ago. They were standing in the open with the blazing sun high in the west. Greybeard walked slowly around the boy, flashing the sunlight off the glittering stone. Suddenly he pointed directly in Tao's face. The boy threw up his hands, his eyes blinded by the light. Greybeard smiled and placed the shining stone back into the deerskin pouch. You see, it is not magic. It is only the power of the sun, nothing more. A long time ago it saved me from an angry bear. Please stop here and answer question 4. When they reached the edge of the oak forest, Tao slowed his steps. It is best if I stop here, he said. I cannot take Ram into camp, and it would be dangerous to go too close. The old man agreed. He hummed softly and began to make ready his magic. He opened his leather pouch and brought out an ivory amulet and a necklace of bear's teeth and put them around his neck. From under his robe he took out a bison horn. He raised it to his lips and blew a long trumpeting blast that echoed through the forest. The effort produced a spasm of coughs. I can no longer blow as long or as loud as I used to, he said. Then he looked down at Tao and smiled, a sly twinkle in his deep blue eyes. Now I am ready. Tao watched the old man disappear into the oak forest. He heard the trumpet blare again and again. He knew the women and children would go into hiding and the camp would become deathly still. As Greybeard entered the clearing, the hunters would gather around, waiting for him to speak, eager for word of the coming hunt and news of the other clans. Then, as it became dark, the rituals would begin. Tao and Ram returned to the little cave where the boy placed some kindling in the fire circle of stones that was his hearth. He blew on the live embers from the old fire and soon had the flames dancing again. He fed Ram, then, squatting on his heels, he brewed up some birch tea and roasted pieces of squirrel meat on a stick. When he was finished, he stretched out on the bearskin robe and stared into the fire. He remembered 5 summers past, when he was still a child. He was peering through the opening of Kala's skin hut when he first saw Greybeard in the light of the big fire, speaking to the hunters. Hunters of the valley people, Greybeard had shouted. The great beasts are coming back. The spotted horses and the tarpans will soon be here. The bison will cross the high plains. The red deer will gather in the spruce wood. His voice was clear and loud then. We must be brave and strong. We must run as fast as the deer and throw our spears straight. Then there will be much meat and skins to cover our bodies and warm our women and children in the winter. Let us go now into the secret cavern and make images to please the spirits of the great beasts. The men listened and became restless and eager to go. Some of them stood up, chanting and singing. Others began to dance, their ivory amulets and bone bracelets jingling and flashing in the firelight. One played a simple flute made out of hollow bone with a hole drilled on top. He shuffled around the fire, playing the same two notes over and over as the hunters continued their dance. Tao had seen Greybeard climb up the path to the entrance to the big cave, followed by the hunters, carrying spears and torches. Then he could see them no more. But he knew they went far back through the winding, twisting tunnels of the cliffs and into the secret cavern. There, together with a few of the chosen ones, Greybeard painted images of the great beasts and asked the blessing of the spirits of the hunt. Tao remembered what happened the next day, too. The hunters went out into the spruce forest and up into the high plains and across the valley to meet the great beasts. They were gone for 4 days. They brought back much food and skins from which to make clothing, and bones and horns to make tools and ornaments. Some of the young men came back as brave warriors. Some came back with terrible wounds, and 2 did not come back at all. The day after that, there was another ceremony. This time it was sad, and there was much crying and wailing. Please stop here and answer question 5. Chapter 9. The days were growing warmer as the sun climbed high into the heavens. The open valley was a sea of waving grass with scattered clumps of birch and willow trees thick with new green and yellow leaves. Slowly some of the great game herds came back, grazing and browsing across the land. Antelope and deer came first, wandering in small family groups, followed by bands of horses, the mares and colts, grazing under the watchful eyes of stallions. The roving herds of animals increased and filled the land. The hunting was good now, and the clans had plenty to eat. There were many new hides, too, and the women sat around the fires beneath the cliffs sewing boots, leggings, and robes to replace the worn-out clothing of the year before. Please stop here and answer question 6. As Greybeard suggested, Tao began studying the animals more closely. He watched the loons and the great white swans feeding on the lake in the early morning mists. Twice he saw a cave lion stalking across the valley, its tawny coat blending in with the buff meadow grass. Together with Ram, he climbed the rocky passes to see the horned ibex and the mountain ram standing sentinel on the snowy peaks. Then one morning, he took Ram up to the top of the cliffs. There they looked out over the sweeping plateau of high plains. It stretched beyond the horizon, and not far away Tao saw Saxon, the sacred bull. Heavily bodied, thick-shouldered, and sturdy, Saxon looked like a huge black monster standing in the middle of the plains. His eyesight was poor, but his sense of smell was keen, and he soon picked up the man scent as it drifted down to where he was standing. His head came up, and Tao saw the long, curved horns white in the morning sun. In spite of his size, Saxon turned quickly, tossing his head, bellowing. Then he charged. Please stop here and answer question 7. Tao saw him running toward them, snorting and blowing. Quickly, Tao grabbed the wolf dog by the scruff of the neck and led him up to the top of the rim rock, a small mound of limestone standing near the edge of the plains. Here they were safe from the great black bull pawing the dust below them. Tao looked down at the huge bulk of the animal. He saw the play of the powerful muscles under the shiny black hide. He cringed at the sight of the flashing white horns, and he saw the angry fire burning in the dark, piercing eyes. Now Tao understood why this beast had been chosen as a caretaker of tribal laws. Anyone, man or woman, who broke the taboos of the clan was brought up on the high plains to face Saxon, the sacred bull. Given a spear and a flint knife, they were forced to battle this savage brute. If they lived, it was proof that they had done no wrong. None ever did. The scattering of sun-bleached bones lying across the plains told the story. Please stop here and answer question 8. Tao held Ram tight as the wolf dog growled. Stay, he said. We have no quarrel with Saxon. We come only to look. Tao dropped to his knees, studying the powerful beast. Saxon, he thought, you are bigger than I am, and you are stronger, but I will capture your image on my stone. He took out a broad, flat slate that he had brought with him. Then he sat down on the rim rock, his legs dangling over the edge, and began sketching a picture of the great bull. He tried to catch the heavy body, the strong neck, and the shoulders, and the massive head. His flint tool cut deep, scoring bold white lines in the gray slate. Saxon grazed alone now. but soon the cows and yearlings would come back and he would once again be lord of the high plains. When Tao had finished his drawing he blew off the dust and held up the stone. Yes, he said to himself, that is good. That is the beast I want. He looked down at Saxon, then threw back his head and laughed. Go, he said, go back to your stomping grounds and wait for your cows. I have your spirit carved on my stone. Saxon soon grew tired of waiting. He tossed his great head and trotted off across the plains. Tao and Ram climbed down from the rim rock and returned to their little cave. Here Ram lay down in the corner while Tao quickly began copying his picture of the bull. With a piece of yellow clay he made a large outline on the cave wall. Then studying his sketch he began drawing line for line, sketching in the muscular shoulders and the deep chest. Next he started with the head with its long curving horns. He drew easily, freely, watching his picture come alive as he filled in the details. It felt good to be working with this smooth, flowing chalk, and he forgot to eat. He was drawing quietly when he heard the wolf dog growl. He looked down to see if Ram was dreaming, but the wolf was wide awake, getting to his feet. Tao put down his sketch. He could feel a sweat break out on the neck. What is it, Ram? The wolf dog went to the entrance, sniffing and growling. Tao waited, listening. Then he heard the clattering sound of falling dirt and pebbles. His heart beat fast. Someone was climbing up the face of the cliff. Ram growled again. Be quiet, whispered Tao. The sound of climbing continued. Tao looked at his drawing of Saxon on the cave wall. It was the best he had ever done. But quickly he reached down and picked up a handful of soot and moss and rubbed out the image. Then he gathered up all the chalk and charcoal together with the slate and hid them under the bearskin robe. He sent Ram to the back of the cave and made him lie down in the darkness. Silently, Tao crept to the entrance and peered out. He saw no one, yet the sound of falling stones came closer. The wolf dog whimpered. Quiet, Ram, Tao repeated. He glanced around the cave. If the climber was Volt or one of the hunters, he would find no trace of drawing or clay sticks. The boy pressed himself against the damp wall, gripping his spear tightly. Then he saw fingers reach out, grasping the side of the entrance. It was an old, weathered hand, gnarled and wrinkled. Tao heard a deep hacking cough, and he felt a wave of relief. It was Graybeard. A moment later the old man stepped into the mouth of the cave. He was breathing heavily, and he leaned back against the wall as he tried to catch his breath. Ram came out of the darkness and sniffed at the old man's sandals. "Whew, we are happy to see you again," said Tao, "and we are glad you are not one of the hunters." Graybeard smiled. "I came from above," he said, his voice wheezing. "Only now I find I cannot climb as well as I used to." He stopped again to catch his breath. "I go to the camp of the mountain people, and I thought I'd stop here for the night." "We have food and water," said Tao, "and you are always welcome." The boy put some wood on the fire. They speared chunks of salmon on long sticks and broiled them over the hot flames. They did the same with parts of the duck that Tao had caught the day before. After their meal they ate dried ground plums and drank cockle shells full of birch tea. When they had finished, Tao picked up the bearskin rug, uncovering the chalk sticks and the sketch of the bull. "I have seen Saxon," he said. "I was drawing his image when you came." Graybeard looked at the slate stone, studying the sketch. "This image is good," he said. "Now try again and I will watch." Slowly Tao picked up one of his chalks. His hand shook, and he knew it was because he was working in front of the master. He began to draw, copying from the sketch. He did well with the head and body, but when it came to the legs his hand would not obey. Once again he felt anger, and for a moment he wanted to throw the chalk against the wall. "You must be patient," said Graybeard. "The eye and the hand will learn to become one, but it takes time." He took the chalk from Tao and dropped it on the floor of the cave. Then he picked up a stick of charcoal and started to draw, showing the boy how to join the legs to the shoulders and hips. Please stop here and answer question 9. Tao watched closely. When he had finished, the old man rubbed out the drawing with a handful of moss. He handed the charcoal to Tao. "Now, start over," he said. "The black will make a better outline, and this time do not trust your memory, but let your hand be guided by the lines of your sketch." Tao took the charcoal and started again. Line by line he drew another picture of the bull as Graybeard looked on. The old man nodded. "Ah, yes," he said. "That is good. You are learning. Draw as much as you can, but always remember to rub out your pictures when you are through." "Maybe you will teach me often?" asked Tao. "I will learn more quickly that way." The old man shook his head gruffly. You press too hard, boy. I tell you again, you are not a chosen one. I have already done more than I should. Tao knew he had angered the old man again. He spoke under his breath. I did not think you believed in taboos. But the old man heard him. That may be, he snapped. Yet even a shaman must obey the laws of the clan and accept the beliefs of the people. He tugged at his beard. I have given you permission to draw. I am sorry you do not think that is enough. He rubbed his eyes with the backs of his hands. Now, let us sleep. Tomorrow I have a long way to go. Tao's face felt hot. He had not meant to, but he had offended the master. The next morning, Graybeard and Tao went out across the valley. The grazing herds of antelope and horses raced away at their approach. They walked all morning, and they came to the river. The old man stopped. He looked down at the boy, a thin smile on his lips. I have changed my mind, he said. Perhaps the old shaman has become a fool, but I will help you. Tao looked up, his eyes wide. Yes, said Graybeard. I will come back and show you how to draw and paint. I will show you how to mix colors and make brushes. I will tell you how to find firestones and how to read the stars. Tao was dazed. He hardly knew what to say. You would show me how to make magic? Yes, and that too, but you must use it for good, never for evil. Tao nodded. Only for good, he said. Then I will show you, but I cannot tell you that you will ever be a chosen one. Tao felt a warm glow of hope. Never did he think that such good fortune would be his. We must do this thing in secret, said Graybeard. I will find a hidden place, then you and Ram will come. When? Asked Tao. Where will this place be? The old man shook his head, frowning again. You must not push so hard. Have patience. When I am ready, I will let you know. But how will I find you? By magic, said Graybeard, his blue eyes shining. Tao did not wish to anger the old man again, yet he did not want to lose his chance. And I will know this magic? Graybeard smiled. When the time is right, you will know. But the old man held up his hand. No more questions now. I have a long journey. I will go downstream and cross the river at the shallows. There you cannot follow. Graybeard walked away hunched over, coughing badly. Tao watched him disappear through the trees. He knelt down and threw his arms around the wolf dog's shoulders. Think of it, Ram. Soon I will be a true image maker. Please stop here and answer question 10.